Are you in love with what you do? Come back the truth.
I don't even know if I want to film this. Like, I don't know how I feel. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Princess. In today's video, I am going to be doing a bit of a life update slash just talking about things that I've noticed about being a content creator in Korea, mostly relating to being a black content creator. Also just certain cringe things about being a black woman in Korea that I've also picked up on, and like just being completely brutally honest. Just a quick disclaimer, if you're easily triggered, just come off the video. Okay, update on my life in Korea and, you know, being a black woman in Korea, la-di. Coming up to a year and 7 months since I've been in Korea. You guys see my experience through my vlogs. Plain and simple, my experience has been very positive. I haven't experienced any like outright blatant discrimination, or have I? Almost feel like, okay. Sometimes I almost feel like people want to perpetuate these negative ideas about Asians hating black people and black people hating Asian people. And to be honest, I understand because of the history. There's been so many cases when Asians have been just like outright blatantly racist towards black people, and you could argue vice versa. So I completely get it, and I obviously have friends here who have experienced some disgusting things in Korea, but I can only share with you my experience. And you know what, there are some people out there, I've seen comments, there are some people who get so annoyed, like so angry when I say that I haven't experienced any negativity in Korea. I almost feel like it's not a reflection of their experience, and so as a black woman, me saying that almost denies their experience, and that's like not my intention. I would never ever come on and say that racism doesn't exist in Korea, because it does, but I'm only sharing with you my experience. Thought about the first video that I ever made. In that video, I explicitly said that the kind of person I am, people saying nasty things to me doesn't necessarily get to me. However, if you put your hands on me, if you touch me, if you want to get violent, those kind of things affect me. But my existence in Korea is not solely as a black woman, and I'm just saying, like, as I navigate the world, I don't firstly, I'm Princess, and that's how I always view myself. I don't really care how others view me. I'm always going to be myself in every situation, and if you receive that well, then good. If you don't, then that's on you. Like, I don't really care what you think about black people, or whether you think all black people are this. I'm not gonna, you know, avoid doing something because, oh, it might appear to be too black. People might think, oh, she's this type of way. You could argue that because I have that mindset, I can sometimes be quite naive or oblivious to people reacting a certain way to me. I'm so just like, I don't care. Negative experiences I have had have mostly been because there's a language barrier, or simply because I'm a foreigner. FYI, I studied Korean every week with my old co-teacher. I use this book called Talk to Me in Korean, which is really good. I would recommend if anyone's interested in learning the language. I will admit that I perhaps don't give it as much devotion as I should, but I know like the basics. One of my really close friends, she was in Korea as well, a white girl from London. Her experience at work in Korea was honestly just disgusting. My experience hasn't been a reflection of that. I don't know. I'm not denying that there's a hierarchy when it comes to race. People usually say, like, you know, it's Koreans first, white males, and then white females, and black people. I've had people say to me, oh, it's because you're pretty, so you benefit from pretty privilege in Korea. Even a Korean guy said this to me. I always find that so interesting because I don't have what Koreans consider, like the features that Koreans consider to be stereotypically attractive or beautiful. Firstly, my skin is dark. I'm a dark skinned black woman. Secondly, my head is massive. I don't have the heart-shaped head or like the long, like small face. My head is so big, and my features are very big as well.
I honestly think I'm beautiful. Yes. Yes, the fuck I do. Bitches be like, do you think you're cute? Yes. Do you think you're all that? Yes. I'm fucking beautiful.
Yes, because I'm also quite small and very petite. As a woman, Koreans tend to prefer to be smaller in size, although actually it's very much changing. I've seen a lot of Korean girls who go to the gym to get like really thick thighs and bigger hips, bigger bottoms. The fact that I'm petite, I obviously do have benefits in that sense being in Korea. But in terms of my actual features, I always get so confused when people say to me, you benefit from pretty privilege, or people are nice to you because you're pretty. The way I look when I come on camera and when I make a video, I don't look like this on a daily basis. I've heard a lot of people say that when they come to Korea, they often feel like they need to step up their game in terms of how they look because everyone else looks so good and they feel like they need to fit into that. I've actually become the opposite. When I was in the UK, I always felt like I needed to look put together. My hair always had to be done perfectly. I knew more people in the UK, so I could leave my house and bump into God knows who. I felt like I always needed to just be ready, look on point. Whereas because I'm in Korea, I don't really know anyone like that. The likelihood of me bumping into someone that I know is very slim, so I really don't care how I look on a daily basis. Weekends is when I dress up, put some makeup on. I do also feel like your experiences will be shaped based on whether you go to a hagwon or you teach at a public school. Working for Epic, hagwons in Korea have a very negative reputation. That's one of the reasons I personally chose not to go the hagwon route. The benefit to going through hagwon is that you get to decide the location. So a lot of the horror stories you hear about teaching in Korea, most of them teach at private academies, which is also known as a hagwon. I'm not here saying that Epic is amazing. It has its pros and cons. However, when it comes to things like getting paid consistently, the Epic program is on point because it's a government program. So you're not going to be in a situation where you're stranded. Your accommodation is provided. Even during the whole pandemic situation, my pay was secured, as well as everyone else on the Epic program. That obviously shapes your experience here in Korea. Also, I actually haven't had the stereotypical foreigner in Korea experience. When I say stereotypical foreigner experience, I mean like the story times that you hear of people going clubbing, going to places like Itaewon and Hongdae. I haven't been able to do that. I live in Busan. I don't live in Seoul. The times I've gone to Itaewon has been because I wanted to go to a Jamaican restaurant. I needed some plantain and some rice and peas. A few times I've been is because I wanted to go to the Nigerian restaurant. Obviously, like, I want to experience that nightlife and all those kind of things, but if I don't, I really don't care. Like, I'm not that fussed about going to some sweaty nightclub and being harassed by Korean guys. What I knew about Korea was solely based off my interests. So I studied education and society at university. So I actually got into Korean culture, I guess you could say, from more of like an educational perspective. Part of my degree was to compare curriculums from around the world, and Korea is considered to have one of the best achievement rates in the whole world, alongside Japan and some other Asian countries, right? And I developed a really big interest in like the Korean education system, societal issues. So I used to watch a lot of documentaries, like really geek out on watching documentaries about the education system, overworking. I was just so fascinated by how like this country was perceived to operate. I guess because of that, I personally didn't come to Korea expecting this utopian country. For my future goals and vision, I wanted to come to Korea to understand how students were able to achieve such high grades, because it would help me into one of the routes I want to go in the future. Being here, I've actually learned so much, and the curriculum has its pros and cons, and it's definitely not something I personally want to implement in the future. But anyway, okay, I digress. That's why I came to Korea. I wasn't into, I mean, I did watch K-dramas when I was at university. Through the algorithm, watching all of those YouTube documentaries, naturally some K-dramas popped up, and I was obsessed with My Love from the Stars. After I left university, I kind of moved away from that whole like K-drama addiction. I don't listen to K-music like that. I'm not gonna lie. My playlist mostly consists of Afrobeats music. It just does something to my soul. I can't explain it. It just touches me like, I can't explain what Afrobeats does to my soul. It's always just so positive. If you actually listen to a lot of the lyrics in Afrobeats, they are just so positive, like uplifting. I love that feeling that it gives me. Next, I want to talk about being a content creator in Korea and the benefits and also the weird side. I started off my channel in Korea documenting my skincare, but you guys would know that I've had some traumatizing experiences with Korean dermatologists. I got my skin burnt, which I've actually done a video on. Again, that's I guess to do like my own naivety and just thinking that Korean dermatologists will know what to do with darker skin types. I kind of take most of the blame for that. I shouldn't have gone in thinking that they would know what to do with like all this melanin. A subscriber who suggested to me, why don't you document your journey in Korea, do vlogs, like we want to see more vlogs, we want to see what your life is like. And so I thought, okay, cool, I'll start doing videos. And then I moved into the vlogging. That's kind of how I got into vlogging and sharing my life, and I really enjoy it. I don't know why, but some people think that I came to study in Korea. I've never studied in Korea. I didn't come like for a month before like deciding. I just packed my bags and just moved for work. All my education was in the UK, so I feel like I need to put that out there because I've had I don't want to mention this because I don't want the person to feel embarrassed if they're watching, but at the same time I just feel like I constantly get stuff like this because I perhaps come off as a really nice person. I sometimes feel like people just, some of you, not my true supporters, but some of you, I feel like some people just take the mick and will send me ridiculous things, asking me to do ridiculous things as well. I had someone reach out to me on Instagram. Oh my gosh, like even the facts that I have to tell this story. I had someone reach out to me on Instagram and they asked me, oh, could you help me with my university application or something along those lines? And I was like, I can't because I'm not here studying. I don't really know anything about applying to university in Korea. I'm here working as a teacher. They were like to me, oh, okay, no problem. I was like, okay, good luck. And then maybe a few months later, they messaged me again. Oh, Princess, I know you're really busy, but could you check my personal statement for university? I just thought to myself, I don't know if I'm overreacting, but I just feel like there are certain boundaries that should be in place. I'm not your tutor. I'm not your university tutor. It wasn't a quick personal statement. I don't even know anything about your course. I don't know anything about the university application process in Korea. Surely you have a tutor who guides you through that process. What would make you come and ask me? I honestly don't know if I'm overreacting. I think I'm just at a place where I was just annoyed because I constantly get things like this where people, they just don't use their critical thinking. Another person messaged me asking if they could squat with me because they want to move to Korea and they don't have anywhere to stay. I do not know you from anywhere. It sort of comes back to the idea of a parasocial relationship where I'm putting myself out there, so I guess you guys will know a lot more about me than I do about you. There's this idea of relationships being formed, but the relationship isn't necessarily, oh gosh, and do you know what, I'm not saying this to be like, you know, but to be totally honest, I don't know anything about you. I feel really bad saying this. I obviously have to put my safety first, be very cautious with who I meet up with. I have had some unfortunate experiences as well. It's so weird because I'm a small content creator, so I shouldn't necessarily be getting these type of experiences. And at the same time, I've met some incredible people through YouTube and people reaching out to me. It's kind of like finding a balance, but what I will definitely say is that if you're gonna reach out to someone, give that person some information about you. Like I recently had a girl message me and was like, I'm coming from the States and I'll be in Korea for so and so months and I would love to meet up with you. Went to look on her Instagram profile. Her profile was private and she also had no picture. She did say to me, I'm also on LinkedIn, I'm also on Facebook, and I did search, but I don't know what she looks like. So there's a lot of people with her name that came up and I just thought, how am I supposed to know like who you are? Now I have to be very careful and selective with who I decide to meet up with. A few days later, she ended up putting a picture on her ID thing, searched her name on LinkedIn again, and then she came up and I was obviously able to relate back her LinkedIn picture to her Instagram picture. And so I messaged back and I just basically said to her, I'm up for meeting up, but I'm a little bit hesitant because so and so. She was just like to me, I understand, I can send you a video. And so she actually very kindly sent me a video introducing herself, and I thought that was really nice of her. So we'll be meeting up when she comes to Korea. I'm not being ungrateful. I'm so grateful for the relationships I've formed and for you guys who genuinely enjoy my content. There's a difference between healthy supporters and toxic supporters. The majority of the people who support my videos are healthy supporters. So thank you. Moving on, let's talk about the Black in Korea hashtag. Where do I even start with this? If you create YouTube videos in Korea and you happen to be a Black person, you've most likely noticed that a lot of Black content creators in Korea often include in their title hashtag Black in Korea or Black in Korea because it drives in views. I noticed that when I started using the Black in Korea in my title, my views significantly increased. And then I stopped using it because I thought, why do I always need to write Black in Korea in my videos? These Oimbo girls, I don't see these girls write in their title White in Korea, Hispanic in Korea. It's mostly just Black people who do it, right? I understand it because of the perception that Asians don't like Black people and there's a hostility towards Black people. So I think people are generally intrigued when it comes to a Black person's experience in Asian countries. That's why a lot of people write Black in blah blah blah, and obviously it generates views for their videos. I didn't want to be always referring to my race. It just started to cringe me out a little bit, so I stopped using the Black in Korea in my titles, and then I noticed that my views actually decreased, and I was like, raw, like it's really a thing, right? It's really a thing to help your channel. This is another thing that I've noticed as well about being like Black content creators in Korea. There is a certain stereotype that's associated with Black girls, specifically in Korea. I only noticed it when I came here. I didn't really know much about this whole group of people before I came here. I'm not saying that it's only Black girls who are like this, because there's even the term Korea boo. I only learned the term Korea boo when I came to Korea. A Korea boo is basically someone who has an unhealthy obsession with Korea and Korean content. I can't grasp my head around it, especially when it comes to Black people. And I'm gonna speak from a Black woman's perspective. Koreans and Asians have a history of completely disrespecting Black culture, and so I just can't understand why a certain demographic will wholeheartedly support a group of people who don't. It's not reciprocal. So personally, that's why I just can't adhere to that whole K-pop stan thing. I'm kind of tiptoeing around it a little bit, but I'm sure a lot of you will understand. I just happen to be currently working in Korea and I'm sharing my experiences, and I continue to share some of my experiences when I leave this country. Will I continue to include Black in Korea in my title? Will I continue to use Black in Korea hashtags? I don't know. The truth is that if you create content, you obviously want to grow and attract people to your videos. I've noticed it definitely helps boost your video. I obviously want my channel to grow, but at the same time I don't necessarily want to compromise my integrity. The other thing I've noticed about being a Black content creator in Korea is the comparison to other Black content creators. This one really frustrates me. Like, I don't understand why people feel the need to compare this Black girl to that Black girl to that Black girl to that Black girl. We're all so different. There is a thing of people generally comparing Black women and like putting them against each other. I'm not here for that at all. So it just irritates me that like people feel the need to do that. I just feel like it's a little bit more intense in Korea. I guess because there's a smaller pool of Black women here, especially Black women on YouTube. Just please don't do that. It's not necessary, and women should support women. I'm a huge advocate for women, but at the same time, I'm not gonna force a relationship with someone when we have nothing in common at all. There doesn't have to be hate, but we also don't need to be besties. My dating life. All I'm gonna say on this is that I'm still very much single. So take my dating videos with a pinch of salt. I'm just going on dates, enjoying my time. So I'm still single. Also, I want to put this out there. Why are you asking me if he's Korean? Don't ask me whether he's Korean or not, because you're not going to get an answer. I'm just enjoying myself, enjoying the experiences. I've had really meaningful conversations on my dates, and it's so interesting to also hear about how they view other parts of the world and other cultures. It's just like a nice way to get to know places that local people go to. There's been some cringe comments made, not gonna lie, but it is what it is, man. Hey, you know, in this country you just have to manage. You actually just have to manage because the options kind of limited. Last thing I just wanted to give you an update on is my nose job. Some of you may not know that I've had a nose job and it didn't go as planned. I have breathing complications, and I've been very open and transparent about my experience. However, as of recently, I privated the video, mostly because like I don't necessarily know how to navigate people asking me so many questions about plastic surgery and getting a nose job. I'm not an expert in this field. Clearly, my nose job went wrong. It's a bit strange that you would ask me, Princess, do you know where I can get a nose job? No, I don't. I'm still searching myself. I guess the other reason I privated it was because people who know me personally kind of overstepping boundaries. Obviously, I understand that I'm sharing parts of my life online and I should be prepared for what people have to say, you know, all of that jazz. Okay, let me stop beating around the bush. Basically, my ex-boyfriend contacted me. He was basically like, oh, I saw your nose job video. I can't believe you had a nose job. Bear in mind, I didn't give this guy my YouTube channel and we're not like the best of friends. We've agreed to keep it mutual and like here and there see how each other's doing. I just felt like for this guy to come and say, oh, I didn't know you had I can't believe you had a nose job. You know, at the same time, I had so many people reach out to me. I was so surprised by the amount of people who are in a similar situation. Part of the reason I initially created the video is to create awareness. People don't talk about plastic surgery and specifically do not speak about rhinoplasty amongst black women because there's such a taboo around it, right? It implies that you hate your blackness, blah blah blah. I don't know, maybe in the future I'll publicize it again, but right now I just don't want to deal with the whole like I can't be bothered. I'm still struggling with breathing issues. I'm 1 year and a few weeks post-operation. Touched on a lot in this video. I don't know, I feel like a lot of the things I've said can be very easily taken out of context and become controversial. But the last thing I want to say is I genuinely appreciate all the positive comments I get, all the love on my recent videos as well. The what people are wearing in Korea video, you guys really loved that video and I loved it so much as I was trying to go to a few other locations. I'm quite nervous, but I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, I'm going to love you and leave you, and I hope you have a lovely day. Take care as always.